Let me. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good morning if you are other part of the world. But it's 10 o'clock here and 9:30 in the morning in California. And this time, I think we really had to tweak to get this time going. You know, both the countries kind of woke up for Raghni early morning today, I think. So anyway, let me introduce Raghni to you. A couple of months ago, I had come across an article somewhere, I don't know where, and there was a write-up about her, an Indian woman running a winery in Sonoma. So that kind of piqued my interest because the lady was from Amritsar. And now I'm not a parochial person per se, but I was really kicked that a Punjabi woman is doing well in California, making wine, selling wine, and all that. So I some research.
Has a bit of a bite to it because it's 14.5%. It finishes off with these beautiful notes of blueberry and blackberry, and one last thing, black pepper, which is very
Please.
It's great.
Mute everybody, please. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I did some research and wrote an article a couple of months ago. I think it was 4th of April for delWine, and Raghni kind of liked the article, and we got in touch, and so we thought it was a pretty good idea to have her chat with our Indian viewers. There was a lot of interest shown by the Indian viewers on my Facebook post and all that. So here we are today, and we will talk more, not at technical stuff, but more in terms of how she got into it and what she's doing, what her plans are and all that. So Raghni, you are from Amritsar, right? And I would like you to tell our viewers how you got from Amritsar to Sonoma, your journey, so to speak.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. It's lovely to see the encouragement from India and, the recognition, and people are interested in what I'm doing. So thank you so much for that. For somebody like me, it's hugely encouraging. And I'd love to share my story with you from the beginning. So from Amritsar, that's where I was born and brought up. And so I come from a typical Punjabi family. We're very much into our, good food and the good life. And my parents were very much into that. They were very much into that lifestyle. And I grew up around that, where there was a lot of entertaining at home, a lot of sharing with friends, and but my parents also took it to next level, where my mother, who's an extremely talented, she's very good at cooking, and but she always took it to a next level, where if she traveled overseas, she'd bring back seeds from overseas and grow them in our kitchen garden. So, many things that don't normally necessarily grow in India, like radicchio and lettuce, way back in the 90s, she cultivated those things, and then they showed up on our dinner table with friends, and, there would be 3-4 course meals, and with each course, there would be a different beverage that would go with it. So they were very much into the fine dining and sharing and entertaining lifestyle. So that's what I really, that's, I think, really what was a pretty
So no kesar ka dhaba.
The beauty was that we were into diversity.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Amritsar is a foodies town, so.
Yeah. So, and it was the diversity that my parents brought to our family was, it wasn't just Indian food. She would be making Israeli couscous. She would be making Thai food way back when, before, all of this really came to India. So anyway, that's what I grew up with, and that's what influenced me a lot. In about 2000, I went to Australia to do my undergraduation.
Before that, how are you schooling? How about your schooling?
Oh, yes. I went to the Lawrence School of Sanar in Himachal. I was in boarding school from grade 4 till grade 12.
Kasauli, yeah.
Near Kasauli, yeah, it's an hour, which is the area that the school is at. It was a family tradition. My brother and I both went there, and that was definitely another very strong influence in my life. Independence, learning to make, be on your own, make your own decisions, and do everything, but never give in. Never give in was the motto of our school.
Sorry to interrupt. Please mute everyone because there is a lot of disturbance.
Yeah, Amboj, why don't you mute everybody? Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think
Gautam Banerjee, would you please mute yourself? Ashok Chandak, welcome. Yeah, you're muted. Okay, Sid, are you muted?
I should.
Okay, hi, yeah, good. Okay.
I am muted, Mr. Arora. I'm muted.
Okay, fine, great, thank you. Okay, proceed. Yeah. Okay, Raghni, sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. This, it's part of Zoom.
Yeah.
So I, that was another very, very strong influence and shaped me along the way. In life, you have all these experiences that shape you. So after I passed out of Sinar, I really wanted to go overseas and study. And I, was lucky enough to go to Melbourne, Australia to do my undergraduation there. I did a Bachelor of Business in Marketing. And that's also where I met my husband, Kaushik, who is from Chennai. So we, we met, and we were he also was very, similarly into experiences. So we both enjoyed the wine country there quite a bit. And we got married, and he had already studied in the US. He had already done his undergrad there. He had come for his post-graduation to Melbourne. And we met there through our American friends. And he, told me about the American dream, and, we decided to move back to the US. He had a lot of family here. And so we got married in India. We got married in Punjab, in Amritsar. We, did a Punjabi wedding, but we also had some, Tamil, Telugu touches to it. And I know a lot of people have asked, Naidu, and, how does that all fit in? So obviously I've taken my husband's last name on, and that is, my family. I have 2 young kids, my husband and myself. And that is the name of our brand. So anyway.
But there's some question here. People have asked me. They said Naidu. You said he's from Chennai, but people said Naidu is a name from Andhra. So I believe he's an Andhra person. So living in Chennai, you said, right?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because India is so diverse, and I feel like we ourselves in India are not fully aware of the diversity and all of that.
Of course.
And marrying into another, I would say culture at this point. This culture, it has opened up both of our minds to, such a different culture. And I'm so grateful that I'm part of that, and that we could open up our mind to so many different things. And so to answer your question, there are a lot of Naidu is a Telugu surname, but there are a lot of Telugus that were settled in Tamil Nadu for a long time, generations. So his forefathers were born and brought up in Tamil Nadu, and so therefore he has the Telugu. He's Telugu, but he speaks Tamil, and he considers himself very much Tamil. Similarly, my mother, who is Punjabi, but was born and brought up in Srinagar, Kashmir, and her forefathers were born and brought up there, and she considers herself very much Kashmiri, and speaks language and all of that stuff. So in a way, our family is this beautiful mix of, I mean, this diversity from India. And,
Great.
it's been, I look back and I think, wow, this is something special, beyond even our family, just to have this amazing breadth of thought and the culture and all of that, and to recognize that things are different, but they're all good, and to be able to bring up our children in that type of environment, I'm very, very grateful for that. So it's an interesting, our family is very interesting, I would say.
So you're okay. Now you told me about your life till Melbourne. How did you reach Sonoma, and when did you do that?
Yeah. So then we got married, and we had, decided we're going to move to the US, because my husband was in IT and, Silicon Valley. So we moved to the Silicon Valley. We moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's where we've been for the last 15 years. And so when we moved here, we had no idea about Napa and Sonoma, but we were so pleasantly surprised. And so every weekend we would be up there. We just love being away from it all,
When did you start drinking wine?
I think when I was in Australia, and also
Okay.
another influence was my brother. My brother, he did hotel management in Australia. And so when I was in my late teens, because of that, he did like a little sommelier thing, and he was very much into wine and pairings and this and that. So he brought that to our family as well. And
What age did you start drinking wine?
18, 19,
On the sly or with the family?
With the family, for sure.
Okay.
I came from a
Well, I believe 16 is a good enough age to start for girls who drink wine with the family.
In Italy, maybe. Italy and France, maybe. But
in India, you don't know. India probably started drinking at 15, In fact, the studies have been done, and more people at the age of 14 and 15 have started drinking now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So, that's actually a good question. Yeah. So I didn't actually like wine when I first drank it. It was like, no, this is not for me. And, that itself was a journey. So for me, it all basically started with not so much as about the wine, but about the wine country lifestyle. That's what it really, spoke to me in the beginning. And then, I came to Sonoma, Napa. I was like, wow, this is 40 minutes away. We're going there every weekend. And we mostly started with Napa. That was, more Cabernet Sauvignon heavy and things like that. More varietals that I didn't necessarily find that inviting for me. And then we explored the Sonoma side and started really exploring Pinot Noirs. And I was like, wow, finally I have a varietal that really spoke to me. I loved that it was balanced, it was lighter on the palate, and I don't know, somehow I was just drawn to this varietal, and I stuck with it for a while. And then as our family grew, as we grew older, we traveled more and ended up going to a lot of wine country regions in the world. And again, we always came back feeling very fulfilled and very much, like, wow, that was a great memory. This is something that really speaks to us. And in 2018, we had gone on a trip with our children we drove from Monte Carlo all the way to Barcelona. And it was, the trip of a lifetime. And we were in Provence for a while. And, I just remember this moment where we're in this beautiful estate that we were staying at. Our children were climbing up some olive trees. And, I think that was the distinct moment where we were like, this is something that we want to definitely incorporate into our everyday life back home. And within 3 months, I bought the vineyard property. And so life, because who would have thought that you're one day sitting and thinking about this, and then within 3 months, you actually got your dream. So, it was the problem.
What made you think about making wine? I can understand drinking wine, enjoying Pinot Noir and all that. What made you think, okay, I want to make a career out of this?
Yeah. So then going to the next step. So I bought the vineyard, which was, it wasn't just any vineyard. It was growing, exceptional grapes, excellent wines were being made from it. And after buying the property, I first bought the property as just for ourselves. But soon after buying the property, it was very clear to me that this was something that was too special not to share with others. And I wanted to share the whole thing with everyone. The property has a vineyard and a home. And so I wanted to do justice to the opportunity that was presented to me and make use of it. And I remodeled the estate, and then also wanted to offer that fully immersive experience that I had experienced. It would be foolish if I had not done anything with the grapes. So, rather than just selling it to others and letting them make wine from it, I wanted to definitely bring my take of what I liked in wine and what I wanted to present and what I wanted to see. And so I decided to get into the wine world.
But it's very interesting coincidence. I don't think you ever went to this winery called Nazare. It's 100 kilometers south of Melbourne, in Mornington Peninsula. So there's an Indian couple, some Sardarji, actually his name is Guman, Paramjit Guman, and his wife, Dr. Nirmal. In fact, she came to my house about 15 years ago, I had breakfast together with her. So, they had a similar story. He was in IT, she was a doctor. And so they went, and so they were working in Melbourne, and he went down and bought this beautiful piece of land. And again, he was a student of Burgundy. He loved Burgundy wine. So he is growing Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and beautiful quality, excellent. I've tasted his wines. So I think these coincidences in life that happens, So I'm glad you chose Pinot Noir, because that area has very nice Pinot Noir. And so tell me a bit about your Pinot Noir. Let's just get into that.
Yes.
What level, what quality, stuff like that.
So the vineyard is planted with Dijon clones and rootstock 115 and 777. And there are two blocks. There's the hill block, which is, on a bit of a slope, gets more sunlight, and, that's, it's very prized. And then there's also the apartment block, and it's about 4 acres total. And, through the terroir, through the vineyard, and I started my story with how the quality and, certain, farm to table type of thing, because it really plays into my decision making today. To bring a really exceptional quality product. For me, it's about quality over quantity. And, through the terroir, I met my winemaker, and he had been making wine from there for 10 years. And I was so impressed with, what I was tasting, that, that was.
Is he Pinot Noir specialist, a red wine specialist, or just a winemaker in general?
His passion is Pinot Noir, but he has done some, excellent wines. And one of the things about my wine brand is I will definitely, my estate Pinot Noir is what I plan to showcase the most. But at the same time, I also want to introduce different lesser known varietals to my customers. And so I always plan to do at least 1 or 2 varietals a year that are fun and exciting. Because, people will want to have your wine year after year, but, after a while, you got to keep them excited about your brand. And
yeah, but sorry to interrupt you, but each area has its own terroir and own specialty in terms of the kind of grapes you can grow. So I see you're growing Pinot Noir. In fact, Vishwanathan, who is the chairman of Grover Vineyard, He's joined us from Singapore, and he'll probably ask you some tough questions on that because he is from Burgundy. So, yeah, he's a guy we want to meet. I'm sure if you go to Singapore or if he comes to California, he'd love to meet you and probably ask you some questions later on. So my point is that, okay, like Burgundy is Pinot Noir, you have a nice Pinot Noir, you have New Zealand making Pinot Noir. So you are saying that you want to make Pinot Noir and then something else and something else and something else. So isn't your terroir particularly suitable for Pinot Noir, or you think you want to keep on experimenting with different grapes?
No, so my main focus is Pinot Noir, right? So my terroir is Pinot Noir, and
Okay.
And it is in the prime growing area within California. There's a belt where all the vineyards around
Right.
there are making,
Exactly.
like our neighbors sell to Costa Brown, to 3 Sticks, Bob Cabral, all of that stuff. So so the focus is very much there, and it's very incredible to have such an exceptional terroir. You can't change, like you can't make a terroir good. It's what it is. It's what it's been there for centuries.
Get the best out of it. Yeah.
So that's the another thing where it was such an exceptional vineyard to be bought that you had to do something. I had to push myself out of my comfort zone and do something pretty amazing with it. So I will always be doing my flagship will be the Pinot Noir.
How did you choose? How did you choose that site of the vineyard? I'm very curious. You didn't have any winemaking experience, so how did you end up picking up this nice property?
I stumbled upon it, and
Okay.
a lot of it was destiny. It was actually destiny, because what we were looking for, we knew we wanted something to do with wine country. We weren't even quite sure. It was just a calling. It was a calling within me. And I was told not to go to this site. It's too far away. It's not what you're looking for. But I was like, no, we're going there. This is intriguing to me. I'm seeing this beautiful vineyard, and I'm going to go and see it for myself. And when I went up there, I just knew that this is what I want. And then, of course, we learned about the grapes, and we did our research about I did a research about the previous owner, and he was just so passionate about he planted the grapes, and he was very he had maintained it. Some people have to have an eye for what you're actually seeing. You kind of have to have an eye for it, or a feeling about it. And I pride myself on that. Like, I could tell that this was something that was special. This was something that was taken care of so beautifully. This was, and of course they had provided all the data and all the information. So, took a calculated risk, and I think it really paid off. And
so when was your first harvest that Naidu Wines came out with?
2018.
2018. Okay.
Yeah. So soon after soon after the vineyard was bought, it was, these were all very quick decisions that were made, and I released it last year, and sold out of it fairly quickly.
And so you launched your wines in last year, is it?
Yes. So
during COVID.
The plan was to launch the brand in spring of 2020, and everything was going as planned, and of course, March 15th, I had gone up to the vineyard for a weekend. I thought, it was fairly booked out. People have been really enjoying the property, and we had this one opportunity to go there. And while we were there was a full shutdown of California. And so we just stayed back there. And I was a few weeks away from releasing my wine. So they were yet to be bottled, and the pandemic hit. And I found myself not in my office, both kids at home from school, in the midst of this, scary situation, because it was like, even if you stepped out, like, you would get coronavirus, and it would be, so everybody was in panic mode. But here I was, I had to think about, okay, what am I going to do? And I decided to take a risk, and I said, I'm going to still do it, whatever it takes, never give in. And so luckily, the wine industry came under agriculture, and they were still allowed to operate. So I was still able to bottle my wines, and then the packaging and all of that. It was intense.
From
but
California, yes. Yes. 2 children.
Sorry?
Oh. I'm going to bring the thing for you, the pie, and bring it upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah, Marie.
My train of thought. What was I saying?
You can
So I ended up still being on time with releasing my wines. I had to do a lot of social media, and I was able to, launching a wine brand in a pandemic, which is such a consumer.
This is an experience off the charts.
I think
So many people have commented. It's just running up.
I'm gonna pause.
One second. I think Ambuj, please mute everybody. Yeah, guys, please mute yourself.
Johnny, your wines
I'm going to bring you the pie.
were
Well,
amazing,
you can come here
delicious.
too.
I
And listen
hope
to this.
you
It's going to be on the big
managed
screen.
To
And this-
journey with us. Did you pick up and taste and it was supposed to be interactive and achieve that. We can
Sorry, Raghni, there's some people are having a private conversation here.
no problem. No problem.
I just don't know what to do about it.
Who cares?
I think they're probably have their headset on or something.
1 second.
I think if we could bottle you and serve you with our cheese board, we would love to do that. What I
Vashi just called them
Coming
out
from
by
Jigas
name.
Naidu's
Sorry?
connection.
the most well-founded.
Yegas, good evening, but please mute yourself, Yegas.
To us to
Yegas.
find the relevant pages out of her book, which Bettina will send this evening.
Oh,
with
it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
relevant bits to you to say you have a manual going forward. If you've got a Pont l'Evêque, what would you serve? If you've got an aged Gouda or whatever the case may be.
Ambuj, can you mute Yegas Naidu, please?
I think she can't hear you. She's muted you. Can you remove her from the meeting or mute her?
And there's
Okay. Ambuj, I suggest you remove her from the meeting.
Okay.
She's a good friend, but I can't help it. I mean, Okay, go ahead, Raghni. Yeah.
And if we're interested in the cheese, we now.
Ambuj, can you throw her out from this meeting?
In a cool way. And so Dale would be very happy to oblige with that as well. But
Okay, I think, yeah,
Thank you. That's
frustrating.
okay. It's part of the Zoom.
Well, okay, yeah, all right. I know.
So, I got a lot of good traction last year, and I wanted to.
Raghni, you muted yourself. Raghni, can't hear you. You muted yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Actually, I didn't mute myself. I'm not sure how I was.
Okay. Admin might have done by mistake. Okay.
No problem. So I wanted to. I didn't need any bottle. I wanted it to be very, thought out, and I wanted it to really reflect on what I wanted to see, the changes I wanted to see in the industry. And I wanted something more modern yet elegant, and something very much, keeping in mind the consumer, because as we all know, the make and not a long process, and as I like to say, it takes a village. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a village and then some to raise a bottle
Right.
of wine. And in that process, there's so many things that could go wrong and so many variables. And we're always like trying to, control those variables that I think sometimes the consumer is lost. The wine's not being really made for the consumer per se, or it's not really being presented in that way. It's sort of like, this is what we're doing. And here, it's a little bit, I wanted a more personal experience. I wanted to offer a more personal experience, a more connected experience, a more farm to table experience where people are actually seeing, hey, this is where the grapes came from. This is single vineyard, single varietal grapes. The wine is made from here, and this is how it works. It actually starts here, and it's not just some blend that's coming from somewhere. It's, really showcasing the terroir. And then bottles, how is it being presented? I wanted people to look at my bottles, and I'll show you a few and say, wow, like,
Nice label, yeah. That's a rosé, is it?
That's the rosé, and I'll show you all of them. So and then it comes waxed, and these
chic
are the
labels.
ones that I released this year. So this is the
What grapes do you have in this?
Zinfandel and Old Vine Carignan.
Zinfandel and?
Old Vine Carignan.
Oh, Carignan. Okay.
And
Interesting.
of course, the estate Pinot Noir, which I'll open up and show you. I wanted it all to be, when my consumers get their product, it's very personal. It comes with my story that I've written and with the tasting notes and all of that stuff. So my story is very much at the forefront of it. I want people to know the person behind all of this. Because wine is a very consumer engagement product. So this is the Pinot.
Of course.
And, so that's what I wanted to do. And I got a lot of great encouragement for doing that. People wanted to see that. And along the way, I also found myself in the position of being an immigrant woman, doing this in this very traditionalistic industry. Over time, it has not changed very much. It's the diversity isn't there as much, and people were happy to see that I was bringing diversity to the mix, and I was able to think a little bit out of the box, and there's definitely something to say for tradition and for keeping things stable and for keeping it the way. But sometimes I think if we focus so much on that, we also then cannot evolve as much. So we have to find the perfect balance.
Good. Yeah.
But it's been, yep.
Tell me something which I've talked to you earlier also, is a bit controversial. When I saw the article and based on which I wrote the article, it described you as the first woman producer from India in that article. And there have been, of course, some people who have been saying to me also, how can you say that? Because, so-and-so's wife is working with the husband. So I said, to me, it's an independent woman who can take a decision in winemaking, who to me is the winemaker. So I think in your case, I felt, and I still feel from what you're telling me, that you are sole in charge of the project and your husband has nothing to do with, except probably giving you the money or taking account of the money that you spend on the winery. So what do you say to that?
Well, I'll just say that, my husband is not a part of the business solely because he's very successful at what he does. He has his own thing going and that's what he does. And, this is something that is solely my business and that I run. He's, where he comes in is he's an extremely supportive husband. He wants to see me succeed. and I don't know why it's so difficult for people to see it that way. We can both be independent and do our own things and be successful at them. And
Of course, yeah, that's right.
and so it's I feel very lucky that I have a husband who is supportive, who can step aside and let me do what I need to do, and see me thrive and flourish in what I have chosen to do. And he's of course, with me every step of the way in terms of support, but from all the decision making, and it's because those are my skills. I have those skills that, people succeed at what they are skillful at, and his skill set is different, mine is different. And
but the skill set you developed after buying the winery, right? Or the vineyard.
I think your skill set is a bit of what are you born with, what are the experiences you've had in life.
You didn't have any proper wine training, so to speak, sommelier or wine courses and things like that, which to me is very interesting, because I mean, that's what I tell people. You do not have to take courses or go to university and all that necessarily to learn about wine. It's the passion and the excitement, and of course the canniness to understand what it's all about, which is important.
Exactly. And so what I did is I set myself up with very, within the wine industry, I set myself up with, I work with very professional people who have had a lot of experience. So I set the vision, and I know the 360 view of what is happening and what I want to happen. But I work with very, an excellent team of people that help me execute that. Whether it's my winemaker, he helps me execute my style and what I would like to do, but he brings his expertise to work, to the business. Then I have a vineyard management company that I tell them, here's how, this is how I want my vineyard farmed, and they bring their expertise to the table and work with me to make sure my vision is achieved.
So what do you do for marketing? How do you handle the marketing?
So I manage the marketing because that's what I did in school. So I have the skills for it. I have the education for it. And
what kind of system do you have? What kind of distribution you have? Do you do interstate selling, or do you have distributors? What kind of system do you have?
So right now I'm not with distributors because I'm more boutique, and
I know.
Mostly D2C, so direct to consumer. But I have a plan. The industry is segmented in, you have to segment yourself in different channels, right? So it's D2C, distribution, restaurants, corporate events. So there's a breadth of things, and I have I have to have a plan for each one of these things, and I have to execute upon each one of those things. So right now my focus has been D2C, and now I am spreading my wings. One of the most important things for me here is this brand has my name on it. It has my face on it. It has my stamp on it. And I will not put anything out there that I do not 100%.
Absolutely.
Stand.
That's good. That's good.
And so I'm starting a little bit, in the wine industry, I know it's all about quantity. But for me as a businesswoman, I feel like it's a little bit putting, maybe bigger brands can do that. But for me, I want to make sure that I get my product right, I get my marketing right, I get my foundation right. Then I would like to scale. And so far, that's how it has. That has what.
Do you sell wine online also? One of our friends, Alok Chandra, is asking that.
Yes. You can go to naiduwines.com. and you can buy it in the US.
Okay. But tell me one thing. First of all, what are you now? You're starting small. I know the boutique winery, and your production is rather small. But what are your plans in terms of expansion in the next 4 or 5 years?
So I definitely plan to scale up my production. I plan to scale my production and leave it there for a few years. Because what I've learned so far in the wine industry is it's a very slippery slope. people are, it's all about, well, how much did you produce? But nobody asks, how much did you sell? You can produce
Of course,
all the wine
yeah,
in
yeah.
the world, but did you sell it? And I want to focus more on selling what I have every year versus, you know, in the industry, because wines, you know, age well and all of that stuff. People, I think it's a bit of a crutch that people hold on to, and we're like, well, we'll always sell the wine we're going to produce. But I would like to do it a little bit differently. You know, being, you know, this is a lot of investment for a single person to own a vineyard and own a wine brand. It's a lot of capital. And
I think it's a very bold step you've taken. We're very proud of you, really. And but tell me, are these wines available in some enoteca, some special wine store in San Francisco or somewhere else where people can buy?
I'm working on that. I'm working on getting my, you know, brand out there. And, you know, it's a time-consuming process, you know, meeting people.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it'll be a few years before I, you know, I can really have my hands in each and every one of these segments that I just talked about.
I believe your first lot of Pinot Noir was sold out very quickly.
Yes.
Is that a fact? Yeah.
It was, and you know, again, exceptional grapes make exceptional wines, and once people tasted it, they wanted more. I mean, I had people buying cases from me.
Wow, okay. So what price do you sell your Pinot Noir or Rosé, Viognier, and your
everything is sold by the 3-pack because
okay, you know, why is that?
One thing that is, you know, this industry has so many barriers, and one of the barriers to entry is really the shipping is very expensive. So
of course,
you can spend the same amount of money to ship 1 bottle of wine versus 3 bottles of wine.
Okay.
And another bold kind of step I took is I'm going to sell bottles by the 3-pack because it makes sense for the consumer. See, consumers, you have to kind of nudge them along the way too. You know, if they bought just one, they would be spending the same amount of shipping. So that's how.
So you're selling a pack of 3 Pinot Noirs or 3 mix or whatever. Yeah. You have different ranges like that. Yeah.
So it's very simple. So like the rosé, this the 2020 rosé was $25. So 3-pack was $75. This is $30, and the Viognier is $35. Again, you know, this is a single vineyard, single varietal, you know, from a very premium vineyard as well. And this wine has, so these two, I just released the rosé. So this one was released first, and then the Cuvée Rouge, which is the Zinfandel and Old Vine Carignan, again, you know, from Mendocino County, very, you know, special selection. And then what hasn't been released, which it will be releasing soon, is the Pinot Noir. And so this is the 2018, but from my private seller. But
what is the price of that?
So this is going to be $55.
55.
Yep. So
okay.
It is more. It is. I've been told that this should really be selling for $80, but you know, because I'm new, trying to get my name out there, it's at this price. But it's an exceptional wine that was made, you know, purely with the intention of showcasing the grapes, and you can tell the difference with these wines. Like when Viognier, the first press, the sip I took, I mean, I just knew this was going to be a great wine. It's like, I mean, you all know this. You're all obviously interested in the wine industry and wines, and you have to start from the correct ingredients, and you will get to a good place. So that's what people have told me. The feedback I've received is your wines are one better than the other. There's not one, you know, usually you'll do a tasting and people will be like, well, I like this more on the other. Every time people taste my wine, they tell me, I'm amazed that one wine is better than the other. And so that's
great to know. Great to know.
Yeah.
But tell me, during this journey, did you face any problems of prejudice against foreigners, against being a woman, or from being India?
You know, to be honest, it's like anything in life, right? You are in a position, if you're placed somewhere where you're not the majority, people are always, it's not a good or bad thing. It's not like a bad and, like that. It's just life.
It's just there, yeah.
Have their own perception. And honestly, when you think of an American vintner, a woman, immigrant woman does not come to your mind. So it does not come to mind for many people. And therefore they, they will doubt seriousness. They will doubt commitment. They will doubt.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you know what you're doing? So I've had those experiences, but those are the people's perception of me. That's not who I am.
But those are men or women who you think are kind of prejudiced about? Because if women, there was a lot of prejudice against women, even in the US, in Italy, Spain, France, till about 30-40 years ago, so they never took women seriously. So do you feel that they don't take you seriously at times? Maybe a winemaker or a vineyard, sniggering, so what is the Indian woman doing here? Stuff like that.
I've had both experiences where someone hasn't taken me seriously, but then I've also had experiences where, it's a big company that I'm dealing with and they have taken me, so seriously that I am like shocked that, oh, wow.
Okay.
Like, they took me
That's
seriously.
nice.
They were professional.
Good feeling, yeah.
I came to them with a problem. They gave me a solution and I paid them money for it. And that's what business is.
Okay.
So you get a bit of both. And I think ultimately it's about professionalism. Professional people will always treat you professionally. And some people, may have room for growth in their professional areas. And so I try not to take it personally, and I try to work with as many professional people as possible to grow my business and to grow my brand. But generally speaking, you don't find a lot of, Indian immigrant women owning a vineyard and launching their own wine brand. And so there's both. There's intrigue and there's
is there any talk? Is there any curiosity among the locals that, oh, here's this woman setting up a winery and selling decent wine?
Yeah, there is. I think whoever hears my story is intrigued by it. Is definitely intrigued by it, and a lot of the locals, some of them, because my whole concept is farm to table, and it's not just a gimmick. It's not like, oh, farm to table. I offer a farm to table experience on the property, and it's not just here. You see farm to table as, oh, this salad is farm to table, the food is farm to table, but you're eating it at a restaurant. Here you're on the farm, you're on the vineyard, you're drinking the wine, you're getting like cheese from my neighbors who have, make their own cheese. You're going to the lavender farm 2 minutes away and you're experiencing that. So when I meet these neighbors and tell them my story, they are excited because I think the culture in Sonoma is so much about farm to table. That's just their culture. They're very much into quality over quantity as well. They are so connected with the land. It's very farming area. There was apples before grapes, and so it's something that's over generations it's happened there, and they're used to good quality ingredients. So
I have a very interesting question I was going to ask you afterward. You finish this, and a friend of mine from South Africa, Raghni Naidu, she travels a lot. She knows a lot about California wine. So she wanted to know also the unfortunate California fires last year. How is that affecting the grape production in your area, and how has it affected you in your production?
Right, that's an excellent question, and as I mentioned, so many things have happened over the last year that sometimes I forget even some of the most important things to touch upon. And so last year, launched the wine, all of that happened, excited about production and what's gonna, what excellent Pinot Noir is gonna come out of there. And then we have the fires. And thankfully, we did not get affected by the actual fire in the fire sense, but we lost all
smokiness of grapes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a problem, yeah.
All the grapes to smoke taint. And that, I would say, I don't know, maybe I didn't bring it up earlier because it's such a tough topic. That was the hardest thing. It was actually devastating and depressing to go there to your vineyard and see. There was just something very sad about it. And, but it's life, and you have to put your best foot forward. You have to, whatever.
What did you do with the grapes? You didn't make the wine, but what did you do with the grapes?
You let them fall. You
okay.
You literally, so for my level of wine.
Kind of silly, but tell me, when you eat those grapes, how do they taste like? Just eating?
The
smoky grapes
ones or the regular ones?
No, smoky one. The regular ones I taste all the time.
So you actually can't really, well, I'll describe what I saw in the vineyard. So you come to the vineyard and first of all, you can see smoke hanging in the sky. It's there.
Right.
So you definitely see that. Then you see soot, you see the ash on the grapes. And that, like on the leaves, on the grapes, and you think that, you could maybe, in the beginning we thought, okay, fine, it's just the smoke, there's no thing, but then you slowly see the ash come down. Then we did all our tests, we did multiple tests to make sure, and, it's a risk we couldn't take to make wine with those grapes because, my wine is I pride myself on the quality, and there was just no way. And my winemaker was like, we just can't. This is not going to work out. When you tasted those grapes, they weren't like smoky or anything like that per se. What ends up happening is when the wine is breaking down is being fermented, that's when like a reaction happens, and the smoke, there's some catalyst.
It releases those aromas and flavors.
Yeah, and then it was an interesting journey to go through that. And this year, what's happening in the vineyard is there's not much water. We're not getting enough rains.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be almost considered a drought year. So, it's a tough business to be in when you are doing everything you can.
It's not as tough as doing in India, by the way. Huh? India's all kinds of problems.
Anywhere in the world, it's a tough business because you have to rely, agriculture, you have to rely, it's not all in your hands. You could have, our harvest last year was one of the best. I spoke to the previous owner as well. He said, this is so unfortunate because we had such an excellent crop, and to lose it like this, it shakes you up. And so that's the story. God knows what will happen.
So you're doing like dry farming in the vineyards? Alok wants to know.
No. So we have irrigation there, and thankfully we have good
drip irrigation, or is it
drip irrigation?
Yeah.
And we have a well on the property, and storage tanks and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So it's very well set up for this, but of course it's not ideal, right? You don't want to use your own hand in these things if you can help it. But it is what it is, and we're doing the best we can. But it'll be interesting to see how this harvest goes, and there will definitely be fires again. I think it's a trend. It's a matter of when, that's a huge.
Yeah. Climate change is causing all this too, so it's very sad. It's really sad. And you come from Australia where there are pretty bad fires there too, so. That's part of life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all you can do is put your best foot forward and
Yeah.
make the next
Sure.
best decision and see where it takes you. There's so you have to have that, you know, you cannot give in.
So where are you planning to position your wines in terms of off trade, on trade, restaurants? Mostly, I suppose, or right now you are selling from the winery anyway, and the retail customers buying it, right?
Yeah, so I'm in talks with restaurants, and I would ideally like to have these wines placed in higher end restaurants.
Yes, yes.
But again, you know, that fit my of that. So I'm just going to take what is working, what works for me, what I am able to do best. And I'm not going to try to fit into what everybody does or how it should be done. I'm going to take the cards that are dealt to me and play them.
That's right, right.
The best of my abilities. And I think that's, you know, you have to have some blinders on and not be, you know,
Of course,
do
of course.
what's right for you.
Cards are dealt to you, you have to play the best. Yeah. Of
Yes.
course. So you are now, I think, about 100 kilometers from San Francisco, right?
No, yeah, well, kilometers now.
One hour, I know. For 1 hour drive.
60 miles,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
about 55 miles.
Okay, well, okay, yeah, we work in kilometers and you work in time, really. So you know, I hope some of our friends, I mean, we have some friends here today who are really diehard Pinot Noir fans. So I'm sure they come visit you. Maybe I'll come and visit you. And you have some interesting boutique resort sort of a thing. I've seen the pictures; they're very nice, very exciting, and excellent. But like I told you, it's a bit expensive. So I mean, are you getting occupancy, in terms of occupancy? There, good demand for those.
Absolutely, it has actually been really done really well. So when I bought the property, you know, it came with a very nice house that was built again by the previous owner. And you know, every step of the way, I think what he created was amazing and excellent quality and maintained so well. And I want to take it to the next level. I want to continue that legacy. So you know, we really connected in that way where we had the same kind of, if we're doing something, we're going to do it to the best of our ability. So I remodeled it and added lots of new, you know, luxury.
I know, I saw that. Yeah, beautiful stuff.
And I want, again, I did it with keeping, you know, how would I like to see this when I'm going somewhere? How would I like to see? So I made lots of, you know, excellent touches to it, and people have loved it. They, a lot of people here, you know, we have, you know, also gone and stayed at some, you know, vacation property here and there, but their attitude is, oh, well, we're not going to use it, or the guests are going to use it, so we're not going to put good stuff there. And I feel like that is just the opposite of how I dealt with it. But I was like, I want people to have a good time. Again, you know, looping back to how I was brought up, I want to give the best forward to whoever is coming to my place. I want them to have a good time. Nothing will make me happier than giving them my best. And so we have been booked back to back since last year.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
How much you charge? How much you charge per suite, whatever?
So the property is a home with 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. It has a pool, heated pool, spa, a separate home theater where you can actually, like, big screen.
Wow, yeah, I saw that. I remember.
Pool room, chef's kitchen, and of course the views.
Yeah.
And it goes for anywhere like around $1,600, like between $1,300 to $1,600 a night. And California is an expensive.
So that's good. If you have 4 rooms, you got a theater, you got pool and everything, then it's not bad, because 2, 3, 4 families can come together also, I'm sure.
Yes. And so it's actually really good. You know, people see value in it. Again, they've come back because they have enjoyed it so much, and that there's some things
do people come and visit? Do people from San Francisco come visit your winery for an hour or two, do the tasting, buy some bottles like that?
No. So
like usual tasting room?
No. So again, I am not set up. I don't want to be set up that way. I want it to be more about people coming and staying at the vineyard, experiencing it over a day,
Right,
and then, that is the experience I want to offer. I want them to really connect with the place, and with maybe, in the plans, there is plans of doing a tasting room, maybe somewhere else, but that particular property, I wanted to be purely about the immersive stay, where you can stay there and really be
okay, like a wine tourism, really, in your style.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what, I feel like that leaves people with such a more, I don't know, intense memory or feeling of positivity or connecting with nature. And
Yeah.
that's the feedback I've received from everyone so far. So not many people are willing to do that. They are more into the model of come taste, go, come taste, go. But I don't necessarily
Like a Napa Valley more than, yeah.
yeah. And I don't necessarily see that to be the model that I want to choose to do.
Well, I don't think you're keen or planning to export your wines to India yet. Not even easy, but hopefully one day, you will come to India with wines, and at least we'll have a tasting with some of the people who are here tonight. And
Love that.
yeah, that'll be great. I think I'll invite anybody who's here tonight will be welcome to join in. And so, as a final piece, what would be your advice to young people who are excited about wines? Any?
To be excited about wines, to be in the industry or to enjoy wines?
Both.
Both.
Your point of view, yeah. Since you developed the taste, you did not like it initially, then you loved it, and then you got into the production, which is really the ultimate in a way, and independently. So I mean, how your journey? How should that excite the people, and what would you recommend them?
So I would say, from the enjoying wine part of it, definitely, understand where your wine is coming from. Be more curious about where did this wine come from. Choose wines that can tell you a story, and those wines usually come from, the ones that tell a story usually come from a lot of passion and a place of a lot of thought behind it, and you'll end up enjoying those wines, I think, more. And then in terms of getting into the wine industry, I say, why not? Like, it's like anything, give it a try. If that's what your passion is, go for it. Don't let anything or any mindset or any of that hold you back. If that's your true passion, advocate for it and keep being persistent for what you want to achieve. People may call you crazy or annoying or, oh, I don't know about this person, but ultimately, if you have a true calling, a true passion, and you're willing to work extremely hard to bring your passion, forth, you will be at the right place. And so don't let anything hold you back.
Wonderful. I think we've had a great chat. And is there anybody else? I think I've answered most of the questions people have been asking you, and I really.
So, Mr. Arora, I have a short question. I have a point. Can I read?
Sure. Who's that? Who's that raising hand? Gautam? Who has a question?
I think he's muted.
Yeah, myself, Gautam.
Yeah, okay. But when you're not supposed to mute, you mute. When you're supposed to mute, you unmute.
No, it got muted.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Raghni. Thanks very much. Wonderful revelation, and wonderful to know that your branding points and marketing communication, I think that's coming up well. But Raghni, having just one point that I would like to raise, having traveled extensively into Australia, especially out of Melbourne to Yarra, tell me the growing conditions that I saw in Australia, and in many ways, are they similar to your growing conditions in California, in Sonoma? Growing and harvesting and the kind of condiment that goes into harvesting of wine, growing and grapes in California?
That's a great question, and unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the growing practices in Australia. I didn't actually when I was there, was a young college student and didn't end up exploring the growing practices as deeply. But what do you think are some of the differences? I think
my years of experience both in Australia as well as in New Zealand, especially Hawke's Bay area and the Oyster Bay area, and Yarra Valley, Coonawarra and stuff like that, especially Australia. I think the temperature settings and the soil conditions and the terraces that you do are almost very similar. I saw a yard in California called the Mayo. In many ways, I think there is a lot of commonality and similarity between both the terroir and the geographies. I don't know. I mean, since you're there and you visited both, which is why I asked you.
No, that's a good point. So I think that in New Zealand, for sure, the soil is definitely more volcanic. It has more of that in it. Whereas in California, it's gold ridge, loamy soil, which is definitely different. I'm not sure about the properties of the volcanic soil, but I know on our terroir, the drainage is really good. And that's the thing. It's like each terroir is so unique and different, and being so far apart, they're different. But I think that the farming practices would be very similar because they are both newer regions, and so they definitely have more of technology in farming. But I think the difference would be in the terroir, the general terroir, and the land and the soil and all of that stuff. But the New Zealand Pinot Noir is quite nice as well, because of the Pinot Noir does so well in a climate that fluctuates a lot. So with the cooling, New Zealand is a cooler environment, and so I'm sure it does really well there as well. But it's my dream to travel back to Australia and New Zealand with my children.
I think you also should consider visiting Burgundy. I mean, that's the Mecca of Pinot Noir, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that.
Yes,
so
absolutely. And so I have a lot of family in Australia.
So do let me know when you're in New Zealand.
Anyway,
absolutely. We should definitely connect. Lots of family in Australia. That's why I went to study there, and it's one of my favorite places. And it's one of my dreams is we were actually going to come to Australia last December, but of course the pandemic happened. So it's definitely on our minds to, bring our children back. My husband and I met there, and we had such wonderful memories there. We were such young, different people back then. So it'll be interesting to go back and kind of come full circle with where we have come to in life. And would definitely love to connect.
So Raghni, thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Raghni, thank you. I also want to thank you for taking time out bright early in the morning, 9:30, and taking time off your busy schedule, and really enjoyed the session. And I'm sure all of us who are here enjoyed the session, and time 8, but couldn't help it, 10 p.m. and now it's past 11, I think past bedtime for most everybody here. So thank you all of you to join us, and we hope that you will be able to visit Raghni's winery whenever you're in California. And if you do go there, give her my name, and as I normally say, she'll probably give you some discounts or something special for you. And as I like to end up these meeting by saying Jai Ho. I don't believe in cheers, so I like to say Jai Ho. So Jai Ho to you and your venture, and Jai Ho to all you guys, and good night, and hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you for organizing this, Subhash. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
organizing this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Subhash.
As a
Bye,
pleasure.
good night.
I'm glad, Alok. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Yeah. Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
did.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.